what do you need to avoid so you can grow muscle? Well, that is going to be training so much in which you can't actually recover from the training stress that you are eliciting. So when I was in college, I started hearing these studies coming out that more volume leads to more muscle growth. And what that led me to was doing kind of a ridiculous amount of volume to where I was doing somewhere in the range of like 20, 25 sets per muscle per week. And I thought that, just doing more would be better for hypertrophy, for growing muscle. And while there is some truth to more volume being better for muscle, that needs to be caveated with more recoverable volume is going to be better for muscle growth. As for adaptation to occur on a physiological level, recovery needs to occur first, meaning recovery is required for adaptation to take place. And if you're not letting recovery take place, then you're not going to experience the adaptations you're going for. In this instance, muscle growth, but the same could be said for strength or different adaptations like that. If you're not giving your body a chance to recover, then you're not giving your body a chance to then make the adaptations it needs to actually get better and to grow muscle, get stronger, and things like that. So in today's video, I want to focus on 3 things that you can look at to make sure that you are not doing too much in the gym. All right. So one of my favorite indicators to look at is overlapping soreness. If you go in to train your chest on Monday, is it still sore when you go to train it again on Thursday? If yes, that's potentially an indicator that you're doing a little bit too much. Now, is having any overlapping soreness a clear indication that you're doing too much? No, not necessarily. And there's research suggesting that training while sore isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, if I were to bet on it, I would say if you're consistently sore when you go to train a muscle again, over and over again, there's a good chance that you're probably doing a bit too much and not giving your body a chance to actually recover and make the adaptations. As I know that for several of the clients I've had in the past and for myself, when I have then brought volume down into a more recoverable level, I've seen better progress overall. All right. So one indicator to look at to make sure you're not doing too much is overlapping soreness. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have any overlapping soreness ever. However, if it's consistent and your chest is always sore when you go to train it on Thursday from your session on Monday, there's a chance that you did a little bit too much or that you're doing a little bit too much in your program consistently on that Monday. All right. Now, a second indicator, and in sports science, this is actually one of the definitions used to say whether someone's recovered or not, and that is whether you're able to repeat your performance or not. So in sports science, one definition of a recovery is whether you're able to repeat your performance when you're going to train again. And that is another indicator I like to look at. If your performance is consistently decreasing across several of your lifts, there's a chance that you are just doing a bit too much and you're not allowing yourself to recover. And another way to think about this is like, hey, if you're unable to maintain your performance, then how do you expect to continuously keep applying the principle of progressive overload throughout your training program if your performance is consistently going down? That's probably going to make it harder to have a greater absolute stimulus over time to continue to facilitate those adaptations we're looking for. So a decreased performance can definitely indicate that you're doing too much. Now, it's also important to consider other things with this because there's several reasons for why your performance might be down on any given day. And there's always a chance that, okay, maybe you had to train earlier in the morning, so your performance was down a bit. Well, in that situation, does that mean that you're doing too much? Well, not necessarily. Also, maybe one night you just slept more poorly. Does that mean that you're training too much? Well, not necessarily. So it's important to look at all these indicators together as well. Now, the third indicator I like to look at on whether someone's training a bit too much is systemic fatigue. So just kind of generally, how are they feeling? Are they feeling more irritable throughout the day? Are they seeing a lack of motivation to go train? Are they seeing a consistent decrease in sleep and feeling just generally more stressed out? Are they feeling a little bit more lower energy throughout the day? And then with this, you could even add, when you go to train, are your workouts just generally feeling much more difficult subjectively than usual? Or maybe when you're training, you notice that, man, when I contract my bicep, it just doesn't feel quite right. Those could all be indicators that you might be doing a bit too much. But like I said, one of the biggest keys here to remember is that you need to look at all these indicators together. Meaning, if you have overlapping soreness, you're generally feeling more systemically fatigued, and your performance is decreasing, I would be much more certain that you're doing a bit too much in your training. But if you only notice some slight overlapping soreness, but your overall performance is still really good and you're feeling energetic, you're feeling motivated to train, does that mean that you're doing too much? In that instance, I would probably say no, and I probably wouldn't make any adjustments. So it's important to look at all these indicators, and I like to think about it as a spectrum, to where the more indicators that you're noticing, the higher up on this spectrum that I am confident that someone is doing a bit too much. And on the flip side, if you're only noticing maybe one or two of these symptoms and there's potentially other things going on in someone's life, like, poor sleep, stress management, different things like that, then I'm going to be much less likely to make actual programming decisions based on just seeing a couple of these. So one thing that you need to avoid to grow muscle at the most kind of optimal rate for you is doing too much in the gym. And I don't want this to come across as I don't think it's a good idea to train hard or to push volume, because I actually do. But that should be caveated with it's a good idea to train hard and push volume as long as you're still recovering from your training. And I would look at overlapping soreness, decreases in your overall performance consistently across your lifts, different systemic fatigue indicators like lower energy, motivation to train, how your muscle contractions are feeling while you're training, and different things like that, and kind of combining those all together to make a decision on, okay, what is the likelihood here, or what is the probability here that I'm doing too much? And the more indicators you see here, the more probable it is that you're probably doing a bit too much. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you take something away from this and apply it to your own training and grow more muscle. And I will see you in that next one.